What is up, and welcome back to a brand new video. Um, this is pretty much the part of the game where I was like, okay, yeah, the game's probably almost already over. Science, we are pretty much extremely far ahead of everybody else. Besides the fact that Hungary's still 6 or 7 techs ahead of us, but we do beeline a lot of tech, so it isn't as bad as it seems. I decided to build a harbor in Frankfurt to get out naval units just in case somebody invades from the west. And I'm just building a monument in Trier, because why not? These cities don't even matter anymore. Why? Because we almost have spaceship parts, and really I'm only going to be building spaceship parts in one city, and then the boosters in like 3 or 4 other cities. And Dortmund has almost finished the Potato Palace, and yeah, the 100-Year Flood really screwed up Munster. Like, it had the potential, Munster, to be an extremely good city, maybe even help me build spaceship parts. But then this flood happened, I lost population. I lost some tiles, but the tiles really aren't that big. It's really the population loss. And here I go trying to build Oxford University, because for some reason nobody has that wonder yet. It's strange. Venetian Arsenal's almost finished in Cologne, and then I can finally begin starting on a navy to both explore the rest of the world and conquer the rest of the world. If you look at the scores chart card, I don't know what it's called, at around the top of the screen, you can see that we are pretty much ahead in science, gold. We are, we're not too far behind in culture. We're actually second place in culture. And diplomatic favor, we're making 5 diplomatic favor per turn. That is what you like to see. I decided to build a Hansa in Regensburg. I don't know why I didn't build it before. And a Hansa in Trier. Now, this spy, he ended up being probably the saving grace of my game. I think it was like 5 or 6 times people tried to pillage my spaceship factory, and this guy just killed or captured every single one. He did not allow the spaceship factory to be deleted. And Munster, I decided to buy a few buildings in it because, I kind of feel sorry for it. Feel sorry for everything it had to go through. And yeah, right now we're pretty much just waiting around, building Ruhr Valley in, what's that city called again? Man, I'm so bad at these city names. But Potato Palace has been built in Dortmund. I think we get a diplomatic policy slot, among other things. And Ruhr Valley, I decided to rush build it with a great engineer because that is a very important wonder for me. And I like this extra diplomatic slot because it allows us to get a lot of gold. And trade routes, decided to build that iron mine, I think, up there. And why not? Let's keep stealing money from our allies at Montezuma. So, Hungary wants to be my friend. I was debating, do I really want to be their friend? I don't know what wars they'd get themselves in. If Wilhelma decides to go after them, do I really want to go for Wilhelma? Because as strong as Hungary's military is now, Wilhelma actually ends up overtaking him just a little bit later in the game. So right now we're just building everything we can. Coal power plants, because we have so much coal in these cities, has been a blessing. We get the Hansas along with coal power plants. We don't even have to buy any coal. And it looks like somebody up here lost a city to rebellion, and my frigate can't explore out of there for some reason. I have no idea why. So, looking around, the only real threats we had was Christina got close to a culture victory. And aside from that, religion, it was pretty much even. Aztecs had the most civs converted, which was 2, his civ and myself, because I didn't find a religion. Persia was obviously, removed from the game. Guessing because of Hungary, because they do have the most score by far in the entire game. But yeah, as of right now, I decide to do some international trade routes to increase the gold, and I decide why not. Hungary can't be that bad, let's create an alliance, and now most of the world likes us. I get a great scientist, which gives us access to oil, but obviously we need the oil technology to actually build it, so I don't really understand why Firaxis would do that. Well, I guess if you had a district over it, for example. But how rare is that? Like you get the specific resource you want under a district. Usually maybe you get like one or two resources total that have somehow been built under districts. But I feel like that great scientist should allow you to build oil wells. Like maybe instead of giving that extra technology boost and the ability to find oil, it just, researches the oil technology for you pretty much. We got the Venetian arsenal, and we are starting to build our navy up. Why? Because France is absolutely no threat. I am allied with the Aztecs. The only threat that could possibly happen is if Wilhelma or Christina, if she gets a big enough army, declares war on me and then shows up with a massive fleet, takes out all my coastal cities. And Aachen, it's pretty close to the coast. I think this is part of why I didn't end up building that canal near Augsburg. It was excuse me. It wasn't going to be beside any Hansas, so it didn't give any real value aside from allowing Aachen to get access to the coast. But if that did happen, then if somebody, for example, declared war on me before I had a navy, took a few of my cities, the coastal cities, then they could probably, put some navy units in there and help the land units take Aachen, if that makes any sense. Because right now, my military score looks decent, but it's mostly warriors, archers, and a few horsemen. Like, it's really not as strong as it looks right now. The only person I'd probably take very easily is France, because she's making 29. Like, even France has crossbowmen. But I can upgrade a few archers to, like, machine guns in, like, 20 turns, and it's gonna be all pretty much over for her. Yeah, so I'm just building navy units. Frigates, privateers, few caravels, I think. Venetian arsenal is, it's not the best wonder, but if you get it early enough, if it's in your capital or one of your main cities, then it can pretty much change the game. Like, you get Venetian arsenal, you are going to be the number one naval power in the game. You spend 20 turns and you could have like 10, 50. Like right now, look at all my naval cities, or all the cities with harbors. If I spent 20 turns just focusing on naval units, I'd easily have at least 15, 20 ships. It's going to be 2 ships for every 1 ship built. If I have 5 cities, 10 turns per naval unit on average. That's a lot of ships. And Wilhelma doesn't like me because I'm not trading with her, but I can't trade with her. I already tried multiple times, so what are you bitching about? And as you can see, Augsburg, I built a navy unit. 2 navy units came out. I decided to build a corps, because corps are obviously stronger than single target units. And research labs have come out, so I am just building as much science. Like even here, I don't want to build any more factories, just science. Just science. I want to get the spaceship parts as soon as possible. And to do that, we need as much science and production as soon as possible. Building the Orzahagas or whatever in that city up there. I butcher everything, it's fine. Cologne's gonna come out with 2 more ships soon. And the good thing was my spy was undetected, even though he failed to steal gold. Which, it's whatever. Decide to siphon funds again because it's a 90% chance it'll succeed. And you see all these apostles, Aztecs ended up converting my civilization. I really don't like getting converted by other civs when there's really only a few religious powers. But as you can see in this game, we have multiple religious powers. I think I ended up going to the victory screen a few times towards the end of the game, and pretty much everybody had control of their own civilization, and that's about it. So right here, I'm going through all the science texts I need, and trying to figure out which of the unrevealed texts contains the last spaceship project we need. So here in Cologne, I decided to build some research labs, or campus districts, building universities, libraries, research labs, because right now 303 science, I can easily get that to about 700-800. Easily, just get me all the research labs I can handle. And we're about to research flight, which is good because now we can start building an air force. And if you know anything about the AI, they do not like building airplanes for some reason. I have no idea why. If the AI just learned how to build air units, like if they just built air units, so effective. So effective. Air units are probably the best in the entire game, especially if you get them and the enemy AI has no way to deal with them. Like, for example, with Eleanor, I could probably one-shot her cities with an aircraft right now. But anyway, we're going next turn. And somebody built the Oxford University, which kind of sucks, but at the end of the day, it wasn't the biggest. What sucked was that Hungary ended up building it, and they ended up getting a lot of science from it. Which, that it sucks, but, Oxford isn't really the best wonder in the world. It's just a really good wonder if you're going for a science victory and if you have time to build it. Like, you shouldn't go out of your way to build Oxford. 20% science is good. What am I saying? You should get out of your way to build it, but it isn't like a top priority, if that makes any sense. Like, if there are more important things, you should leave Oxford, but if there's nothing really urgent, then Oxford is a great wonder to have. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. Sweden is about to get her special diplomacy stuff thingies. I wonder if you're Canada and you're playing with Sweden. That'd be really good, wouldn't it? Anyway, here in Aachen, you know what? I think I just decide to build all these small, yeah, like monuments, stuff like that. Because I know if I lose Nan Mandol as a city-state, I lose a giant portion of my culture. Which ended up happening before I got him back with the ballet recital 2 envoys that it had. And I actually lost a spy in the siphon funds, but it was like my newest spy, so that's fine. Here I'm just fortifying because Eleanor is really testing my patience with all these cities she's selling, but at the same time, I believe the game's about over. They really can't do anything to me, so I'm just going, whatever. And right here, somebody declared war on somebody. I forgot to see who that was. And as you can see, Augsburg has some really nice coastal tiles. Really nice coastal tiles. But this is about the time where I get Orzahagas, and lots of my science buildings start coming out. As you can see, my science just skyrocketed from 300 to 373. Here I debate about building the canal somewhere else, like controlled by the city of Aachen, so if anybody takes the city of Augsburg, they don't have control to that canal. But I ended up deciding, you know what, it's not even worth it anymore. We already have enough cities building naval units, we don't need another one. But we are lacking in amenities, so I decided to build entertainment complexes in both Aachen and the city that I can't even pronounce up there. And somehow, well, not really somehow, I do have a lot of naval units. But my military score is pretty deceiving considering the fact I still have archers and horsemen. I wish, like, instead of upgrading units with gold, there would be something like, if you don't build any walls and you research that technology, urban defenses, I think, all your cities get walls even if they didn't build them. I wish it were something like that, where, like, if I'm in the Renaissance era, then all my units from the ancient era get upgraded to, Renaissance era units. And when I enter industrial era, all medieval units get upgraded to industrial units. You know what I'm trying to say? If you have the resources for it, obviously. Because it really doesn't make sense that I'm still running around with warriors, horsemen, and archers when I'm pretty much in the information era. And I lost my friendship with Montezuma because, I don't know, but I end up getting the alliance back. Our alliance ran out. And I pretty much have a monopoly on the rest of the great engineers in the game. AI doesn't like building too many districts, and I have great engineers in all my cities, so yeah. Here in Dortmund, there's really nothing else to build. I debate about building military units, but then I decide, you know what, let's get all these watermills and stuff out, even though it's not going to be extremely helpful. And I decide to build arenas, science buildings, obviously. And my science, look at that. 3 turns ago, it was at like 300. I increased it by about 50%, and it's still going. I still have plenty of research labs to go. And I don't know what France is trying to do, but Anyway, industrial era ends in 2 turns. We got some gold and another promotion for my unit. Perfect. Decide to get the spy in home territory so he can defend my territory better. He has 2 promotions. He is definitely going to be the spy that defends my Hanzas and spaceship factories. I think right now I'm looking for coal right now. But the only person who has coal is Montezuma, yeah. And he is not willing to trade me. Like, look at that. Yeah, values diplomatic favor so highly. Like, he wants all that for 12 coal. He is not getting it. And I think he's pretty much the only person in the world who has coal to spare. But it's fine. Because I think right now, yeah, I decide going for, well, I go for rocketry, but then I go for the solar plant thingies, which allows me to get my coal back up to even. Solar farms, that's what it is. Allows me to get my coal production back to even, which means my cities are powered. And yeah, it wrecks the environment, but right now I'm just trying to go to space, and I don't really care about the environment. Maybe that's why no governments care about global warming. They're too focused on winning a science victory. They want to get the exoplanet expedition that, meh, screw the environment. Anyway, rocketry is complete, and that is perfect because now I can start building spaceship factories, and I'm going to build them everywhere. Why am I going to build them everywhere? I'm going to build most of my parts in Aachen, obviously, but the fact is, I want to finish the game as soon as possible before somebody wins a stupid victory like diplomatic or something like that. And to do that, the SS boosters, the ones that cost aluminum and power, are extremely helpful in finishing the exoplanet expedition as soon as possible. I like the way they did the science victory in this game. It's much better than Civ 5, where instead of going to the moon, for example, or whatever it is, you actually have to colonize a new planet. Anyway, urbanization, and no, it's not urban. It's urban defense, is not urbanization that gives me walls in every city. So, as I'm saying, spaceports, there's really nothing else to build. As long as you have all your science and Hansa buildings, just build spaceports. Build them wherever you can. And trade route, I got my Caravel back. I don't want to upgrade him to an ironclad because it would cost coal, despite the name Ironclad. And yeah, as of right now, we are just trying to get as many great people as possible, get that sweet, sweet spaceship production boost. And France has denounced me so many times that I now have grievances against her. So, I'm getting advanced flight right now, which would be extremely helpful just in case someone declares war on me. Because at the very least, few bombers and fighters can take out a lot of Renaissance-era naval units. Right now, there really isn't a threat so far. I know culturally, Sweden's a pretty big threat, especially if they have those rockstar rock band thingies. But Sweden actually ends up shooting herself in the foot, because she declares war against Philip of Spain, I think. Yeah, she declares war against Philip, and I'm allies with Philip, and I think so is either Montezuma or Hungary, which means pretty much she eliminated 3 other civs from getting rock bands into her territory. Like, if she brings rock bands into our territory, we're just gonna, like, pillage it and send it back to her territory. So, yeah, if you're playing a cultural victory, no late wars. You don't want a war late in the game. Anyway, we have some factories. Somebody pillaged all my industrial zone buildings in Aachen, which pisses me off. But, especially considering I can't buy them back, especially with all the gold I'm making. But at the end of the day, I just say, whatever. I'm still able to get the spaceport and Aachen first, actually. Which just goes to show you that even with a bad production start, cities like Aachen, Hanses really help out, is what I'm trying to say. And holy shit, Arnheim, what is going on? Wilhelma. Not even the AI can keep that kind of city away from me loyalty-wise. But anyway, Montezuma, are you willing to trade any of your coal? Or he's not willing to trade for anything. I'm making 177 gold and he's not willing to trade 30 coal. Okay. But yeah, this is where my coal like, it's really starting to, yeah. I think in about 10 turns I'm at 0 coal, so that's going to suck. But, oh yeah, I built an encampment in Augsburg because Wilhelma has kind of like a forward base. I don't know what she's trying to do. So an encampment with some walls would, help the sort of British channel I have from Augsburg. Plus, I think it would help my harbor adjacency bonuses. But anyway, that looks like the end of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future content, and I will see you guys in the next video.